Hi, I'm Sean LeBeau from The Average Gamer. We had some interviews with the development team at Naughty Dog about The Last of Us.
Man.
What?
Nothing, it's just... I've never seen anything like this, that's all.
You mean the woods?
Yeah. Never walked through the woods. It's kind of cool.
I'm Bruce Straley, I'm the game director on The Last of Us.
And I'm Neil Druckmann, I'm the creative director on The Last of Us.
What kind of background research do you go into kind of building a character, or both of those characters? For instance, did you base most of it on films, characters, people that you know, anything to look back onto?
Neil had a baby.
I had a baby, so everything is based around my kid. No, you base it on all your experiences, everything that you know around people. As you write, you can't help but put a little bit of yourself into everything and tell the characters. But a lot of it was based around the structure of what we wanted to say with this game. The game is about something very specific, and so you start with that. And you have some ideas of what the characters are, but that's constantly evolving and changing, especially once we cast Troy Baker for Joel and Ashley Johnson for Ellie. They brought their own interpretation of the character, which helped really mold them and change them as well. And a lot of the writing had to be changed once they kind of redefined those characters.
Things also really change as iterations, and as Neil's talking about with the influence of Troy and Ashley, as well as his own experiences, and then as gameplay comes in. And then as the world starts to formulate itself, as we're creating more and more of these sort of scenarios and gameplay events, like when you start constructing sort of an arc and knowing that you have to start somewhere with the characters and go somewhere, and we want them to play off of each other, so we just keep talking and playing and molding them as you go. It's just like a real iterative process, trying to find who these people are, making them come alive.
So Ellie, when we talked to Eve at Gamescom, I asked, you found some of the scenes quite challenging to do in terms of voice acting and also physical acting. How different was it from your previous work on, say, Ben 10 and also Super Monkey Team, Hyperforce Go, that you voice characters like that?
Yeah, I think one of the main differences with this was the fact that it was motion capture, which I've never done before. Whenever we would shoot, we would have one day of rehearsal, and then sort of in that day of rehearsal, we would go through the scenes, and if anything sort of felt unnatural, or if there was anything that needed to be added, or sometimes we would improv stuff, but a lot of the time, Neil is such an incredible writer. I don't think he gives himself enough credit. His dialogue is very natural, and the majority of the time we really stuck to the page, which is pretty rare. But I think that sort of helped a lot. So a lot of stuff we didn't change, but sometimes we would just add stuff. Shit, you're gonna go in there?
I want to see what we can find.
You're gonna find my body when I die from a heart attack.
Don't worry. I got this.
Well, survival action is kind of our own, our own defined genre. That we're not really survival horror. We're not straight survival. Survival horror, we notice, just our observations. We love those games. We like a jump scare, but it's kind of at some point you get kind of tired of dark corridors and creatures and gore just for the sake of gore, and so it has certain elements that we like as far as the tone and the tension and sort of the pressure is because of this manifestation of the fungus, this plague that's hit society. These infected are out there, and that brings out the best and worst of humanity, and that's the kind of pressures that we want to see these characters sort of in the choices they have to make sort of flourish in. And then action is Naughty Dog fashion. It's pacing, it's active, it's being engaged moment to moment in a variety of gameplay mechanics, and from exploring environments, and they're lush, beautiful environments. We're allowed to say that there can be horror and beauty at the same time. There's a contrast between sort of the abandonment, the lush overgrowth of nature. So we're taking on sort of different ideas than the standard horror game, and that really adds this action element. we travel for an entire year through different locations, so you get to see all sorts of different palettes and beautiful environments that Naughty Dog can create. And that's kind of the action-adventure side, but then you have this tension that's provided in the moment-to-moment gameplay and the pressures on the characters, and that's kind of the survival side, so it's survival action.
So how much she uses weapons, she's quite nimble in the environment. Did you go through any training for the role?
I didn't go through any training, but on that note, I really like the fact that she's a very capable sidekick, and I think they wanted to have that and add that to the character, so you're not sort of, you have this mission with Ellie and you're always having to take care of this sidekick character. But no, I didn't have any training, because a lot of it is just sort of throwing bricks and stabbing people, so I have a lot of experience with that already.
What would you say is your personal favourite way of killing an enemy, your favourite weapon and your favourite bit of equipment each?
Wow, I like stealthing quite a bit. It breaks for me a lot of times, but you know, I like quietly taking guys out. And then when things do get hectic and I'm being flanked by a bunch of enemies, I really enjoy using the rifle, because especially when it's upgraded, it's really powerful, but it's got a slow reload. So I find myself, you know, backing up into a corner, reloading, and as a clicker is right on top of me, just getting that shot off and killing it is really satisfying. And then what was the
equipment?
Equipment. The thing I just recently started using, I didn't use it for a while, but it's now one of my favorite tactics to use, is a smoke bomb. So when there's a bunch of enemies and they got the upper hand on me, I throw a smoke bomb, they're disoriented for a second, I run into the kind of like the smoke itself, and I just start taking them out like with melee or just like blasting them with a shotgun.
Yourself, Bruce?
Throw a brick at a runner to stun him, and then sprint attack with the melee implement and pop his head. Completely satisfying.
And my final question, hopefully one to leave our viewers on a higher note. What is it that has kept us safe so far?
Oh, we've not been safe. I mean, the Black Death in Europe, where 1/3 to 1/2 of our population was extinguished. The Spanish flu, where 20 million people died in 6 months. Great plagues in 1700s in America. The history of humanity has been the history of plagues. But 3,000 or 4,000 years ago, we invented city life. Now, for the first time in the history of humanity, more than half of us live inside cities. So we haven't escaped epidemics and plagues and pandemics. In fact, we're increasing the number and frequency of them. And given that we've gone over 7.5 billion people, we're really primed for a catastrophic one. So it's quite a ticking bomb. But if you're inclined to optimism, what keeps us safe, I think it's blind luck and ignorance oftentimes. But we had better be prepared and conscientious of the idea that if something like this 1980 Spanish flu happens again, then we're really in trouble.
Thank you very much again for that. It's been a right answer. Thank you very much.